Hi, I'm Gigi Douban, and on this episode of Alabama Inc., we look at why food companies are dying to get a foot in the door at your kid's school. And Pat Duggan sits down with Trisha Wallwork, who left the law in favor of sweet tea, Milo's tea. And correspondent Josh Sneed meets up with John Cargyle, who piddles around town in a $50,000 Dodge Viper pace car. All that's coming up on Alabama Inc. Every day, food manufacturers are trying to make their way into school lunchrooms. They're coming up with new products all the time. Sometimes it's a new take on a classic like square pizza. Other times it's more gimmicky like orange milk. And it all starts with a taste test. Every now and then, this group of students at Centerpoint High School gets called out of class and summoned to the lunchroom. There, they're served something. They don't know what yet. Today, it's a turkey cheese dog and some low-sodium chili.
So I'm going to pass out your sheet to fill out, and then we're going to bring the food out shortly. I'm going to give everybody a bottle of water. That's to kind of clean your palate. Be honest whether you like it, if it's acceptable, if you would like it on your menu.
So like every year we'll have like different foods to taste, and like we'll just give our opinion to how well like the food tasted or whatever like we wanted on the menu.
We just had the chili and the cheese dog. Cheese dog was the better to me than the chili. Both of them were great. I preferred the cheese dog because it was something new to taste.
And you had said the chili was a little bit bland?
Yeah, it was a little bland, but you know, I guess with all the laws and stuff going on, you know, less sodium, you know.
Do you think if you had to eat that like over and over again, you would just get used to the taste and not find it?
No, ma'am. Eventually, I'll be honest, I'll probably bring my own salt, seasoned salt, in my book bag or something.
Contraband, bringing in salt.
So it looks like it was pretty unanimous. The turkey cheese dog was a winner. The chili, on the other hand, not so much. It's part of First Lady Michelle Obama's tougher school nutrition standards. Things like cutting back on sodium, adding more whole grains, slashing saturated fat. Companies are all too happy to tweak their products to meet the new USDA guidelines, especially if it means a year-long deal with school districts across the state.
Any vendor that had any sodium, calories, fat, that had to be changed to meet these new qualifications.
Have any vendors said, sorry, can't do it. There's just no way we can make this product with these specifications?
I have not heard of any, because we give them so much business. Jefferson County alone has 56 schools. So you can imagine the product going, you know, to the 56 schools, and then you take it on the statewide bid.
That would be a huge loss for them.
Massive loss.
Who are there big are we talking like major corporations?
We're talking major corporations. We're talking,
who is it?
We're talking Kellogg's, we're talking Tyson,
General Mills,
all of them. I mean, you can
ConAgra.
Everybody, ConAgra definitely. So you're dealing with the heavy hitters. I mean, they have products out there, Super Bakery products, J&J Snack Foods. You have all types of vendors, all types of companies.
And so that's going to cover it. We have collard greens. The collard greens is going to meet our leafy green vegetables for the week. We also have Salisbury steak.
I'm thinking perhaps the biggest difference we see 10 years ago versus now, obviously the most obvious ones are the nutritional changes, more healthful choices for our children. But the children now have so much variety because we have so many different palates. So they have the ability to, as we indicate, offer versus serve. They have the ability to select what it is that they wish to eat. And hopefully, because they're making those selections, they're going to consume it.
These taste tests aren't just for show. School nutrition workers seem to really want to know what kids think, which might seem odd, seeing as schools don't have to change their menus, not for variety's sake anyway. But the way they see it, students are like customers, because the more students buy meals at school, the better.
Why have a testing group? Why not just come up with the menu on your own like you used to?
I want my students to want what we're having for lunch. I want them to want to come in and I want them to say, oh, that's good, that's my favorite thing. You heard several say, my favorite thing is.
It's almost like operating a restaurant.
It is, it is.
Why is it so important to you that you make a good product that kids are talking about?
First and foremost, I have to say is for these kids. But secondly, I want to keep those numbers up because my second heart is my staff. And the number of employees I have is based on the number of children that I feed a day. And I don't want one of them to lose a job because some of these kids quit eating because what we're offering is not good.
And when you see a dip where not as many kids are buying school lunch, what does that mean for you?
Well, that means we need to find out why. And our front line, obviously, are the managers that work in the local schools. They give us feedback. Sometimes it's simple things as our menu mix, and what I mean by that is what we're pairing a main dish item up against, or the main dish items that we present, period. There may be some things that are not acceptable to children. I don't think meatloaf is a popular thing, but I believe chicken nuggets and things such as that nature are more popular for students. So we have to look at that, but along that line, we have to make sure that they fall within our menu pattern guideline. But the other thing is it affects our bottom line. If you're not eating, then we're not generating revenues. And so that you understand, a cafeteria CNP program is not a revenue generating entity. Any funds that we get go right back into the program. So that allows us to purchase those food items, those new and improved food items. So we actually recoup those monies and put it back into the programs in the line of food items, equipment, production equipment.
I'll be honest, like 10th grade year, like I wasn't eating none of the stuff. I just skipped lunch, and I got so used to it that I was like, man, lunch, and, you know, even stuff I did, like I just skipped lunch because I was so used to it. But you know, like I tried to eat more this year. I eat more last year and this year, so it's pretty good.
When it works, even the school cafeteria becomes a place for memorable meals. It happened at Centerpoint the day they served hot wings. Everyone remembers it.
When did y'all find out that they were actually going to bring in hot wings on the lunch menu?
Yeah, it was actually a surprise.
Yeah. Do you remember that day? Who remembers that day?
I think it was last year because I ran to lunch.
You ran to lunch?
Yes. Like everyone heard hot wings for lunch. Everybody, hot wings? Wow.
As soon as 12:35 hit, I was like,
everybody was like running to get them, and we came in. It was like a basket full of hot wings. Like, oh, okay.
You can actually smell it walking down the hallway.
That's how strong it was. Everybody was so excited. We never had hot wings.
Everybody ate lunch that day. Yeah. It was a good amount of folks that ate lunch that day.
Coming up next on Alabama Inc.
I came in and tried to get involved because you can't succeed if you don't understand what all the pieces are doing.
Okay, if you like fast food and you live in the South, name this slogan. Everybody goes to Milo's, right? Well, it's a family-owned business currently operated by Tricia Wallwork. And they started off in burgers, then wound up in the world of sweet tea, and here's how she got from here to there.
Milo's has been an iconic brand in Birmingham since all my life. I could not go anywhere if people knew who my grandfather was without them wanting to tell me a story about how he has affected them or his products affected him. And it makes me very proud, and it is something that, you know, sometimes you'll be in a rush and you don't want to tell people where you work because people that know the Milo's brand are so affected by it, and they do take pride in it. They take ownership in it because that's what they've grown up with.
Your family sold off the burger chain part of the business, I think about like 2002, and then you focused on your tea business, the Milo's brand tea. Now, you know, what kind of drove that decision? Was it kind of like, you know, we're kind of done flipping burgers, or was tea just a way that you could actually expand faster and better? What was the thinking behind it?
My parents sold the restaurants in 2002 in order to focus on the tea. It's actually one of the fastest growing categories in grocery, the ready-to-drink tea category. From a business standpoint, it gave us the money to build the factory that we have out in Bessemer and expand that brand.
Okay, so for the uninitiated here, okay, so take us through the process here. What's going on in this part of the factory?
Well, so this is one of our packaging areas, and this is for our singles machine. That is it's called a spot pack machine, and it brings the bottles in and puts them down on the corrugated, soldiers them, and then brings them around through this machine here, which wraps them, and then it goes into the microwave and shrink wraps them so that we can take it through here, and it'll go up the elevator and through the packaging area. We make a lot of tea. In 1989, my parents started selling the tea in the grocery stores here in Birmingham, and it really took off. There was no fresh brewed tea that was available in the market. All you could get was that instant stuff that looks like a chemistry experiment, you know, in a can. And it was really fun for them. I mean, it took off because people were looking for alternatives, something that was fresh brewed and all natural, and it tasted good, unlike what they were calling tea that was out there. Since then, you know, we were more of a regional company, a Birmingham company, and now we've grown into 16 states across thousands of retailers.
You were already at a law firm by the time that the CEO possibility here popped up. I mean, did it come like a bolt out of the blue? Did you imagine yourself doing it, or was it kind of like, holy smoke, it's here?
Well, I think in the evolution of a family business, you know, children go off and they're going to do their own thing. I envisioned when I went to school that I was going to practice law with my life as my career. But as my parents, as the business started to grow and they started to give more of that to my sister and I wanted to get involved. Going back to your original question about the brand and my identity, which is obviously tied up with that and has been my whole life, it was important to me to learn the business. And so I came in, it'll be 9 years ago, last April, and really I did not come in this role. I came in and tried to learn about the departments and get involved, because you can't succeed if you don't understand what all the pieces are doing. So I've just been the CEO since last March, and it's a great honor that my family trusts me to be involved, and it's a lot of fun.
What was the first moment for you where it was kind of like, oh, so this is what, you know, running a business and being the boss is like?
Well, unfortunately, whenever you manage people, whether they're, you know, running the business, you learn a lot, and it matters because you are affecting people's lives, and we affect people's lives every day with every glass of tea that they buy. So we take that real seriously. It matters.
So when you run into any of your buddies from the law firm, was anybody like, you're doing what for a living now?
Yeah.
You're what?
They're jealous. Who wouldn't want to be involved with something that people enjoy, that they're passionate about, that is good for them, that makes people happy?
The states right now that you all are participating in, give us a laundry list. That would be what?
So we're in Alabama, Tennessee, Georgia, Florida, Mississippi, Louisiana, Arkansas, North Carolina and South Carolina, Kentucky, Indiana, Ohio, Missouri, and we're going into Oklahoma this year. So we're really excited about that.
You see companies kind of like Coca-Cola that are branching out like into, the bottled water. They're doing that sort of thing. And you'll see like, I think it's like Phoenix bottled teas that, that are selling, probably not as well as the Milos and Publix and stuff like that. So is this kind of like making it easier for you all to expand? The fact that the beverage world is not just, Pepsi, Coke, 7-Up, that sort of thing?
Absolutely. The tea category is growing. It's actually one of the fastest growing categories in grocery, the ready-to-drink tea category. And again, that's back to consumers are looking for products that are healthy, that taste good, and that are alternatives for them. So it is a great opportunity for us.
Now, you talk to anybody in the South, you say, oh, let's have some sweet tea. It's like, oh yeah, of course, we kind of grew up with that sort of thing. But when you're talking about areas of the country that are not used to it, that are the North, the California, that sort of thing, I mean, how do you kind of like, change the pitch to introduce something like that to them for folks that, that haven't, been drinking it their whole lives? What do you think?
Well, we believe that if you try our product, you're going to buy it. That is because it tastes good. It doesn't matter where you're from. It's going to taste good to you.
As I understand it, your grandfather started selling iced tea because he felt that Coca-Cola products were too expensive. If he were here and he saw exactly, how big everything had gotten and the fact that you're expanding now in Oklahoma, that sort of thing, what do you think he would have made of all of that?
He wouldn't believe it. Milo would not believe it. But the wonderful thing about it is we, today, still follow his tradition of quality. We could take shortcuts. We could change our ingredients. We could do a lot of things to grow faster or make more money, but we do it the way we do it because it's the right way. Milo's tea is different because it tastes good and it's all natural and it's fresh brewed. It's different than the products out there. And he might not, my grandfather Milo might not have expected it to grow into what it is today, but he would be so proud that we follow the tradition of quality that he started 68 years ago.
Coming up next on Alabama Inc.
Your everyday driving around car is a $50,000 Dodge Viper.
Yes, currently.
Some people like to make a statement with a new hair color or a cool tie. John Cargyle, his car says it all.
So growing up, most guys have that one dream car that we always drool over. But as we get older, we realize it's too expensive and there's no way we're going to get the baby's car seat in the back of a Lamborghini. But for John Cargyle, that dream never died. And as soon as he had the money saved up, he bought a Dodge Viper.
So John, you are a normal, middle-class, everyday guy like most of us out there.
I'd like to think so.
But your everyday driving around car is a $50,000 Dodge Viper, right?
Yes, currently.
Okay, currently. Take me through the day you actually got it. Like, what, had you been researching it? Is this something you really wanted for a long time? I mean, you didn't just impulse buy a Dodge Viper.
It was the guys that I work with. They sold their business and they all got a lot of money, and they wanted to get Lamborghinis. And I said, why would you want to spend that much money when you can get a Viper? Something that's going to run right with those cars for a fraction of the money. He laughed at me. 2 days later, he calls me up, asked me to take him to the Dodge dealership. He just bought a Viper. So,
so is this something you'd always wanted before that?
It is. You know, when I was a kid, of course, I couldn't afford anything like that. And so those guys taught me more than anything, just to, if you wanted something to work hard and nothing was out of your reach.
With gas prices what they are now, I'm sure you get a lot of people asking you what the gas mileage is on this thing.
And the correct answer is, who cares?
You're right. I guess you're right.
I think the sticker said 11 and 22.
11.
Yeah, if I have to go to my grandmother's or something, which is a good 2-hour drive, and I can make it down there on less than a half a tank. But if I'm driving around here at red lights and stuff, you can watch the needle move. Just the hood itself is about 30 grand. just for the hood.
That's 3 of my cars.
So if this piece here is $8 grand and this is like 30. So if you rear end somebody, I can't imagine the nightmare with the insurance company.
Yeah, so like you went Dukes of Hazzard style, slid across the hood, and it dented in. You smushed in the hood in the middle. What would you do? I mean, would you sell your organs, or would you just
I try not
cruise
to,
with a dented?
I try not to think. I've had nightmares before where I've wrecked it, and I wake up and it's like the biggest relief knowing that, oh, thank God.
You wake up sweating.
That was just a dream, yeah. Yeah, tires, I'd say just under 2,000, mountain balance, shipping and everything to get them here. And if
all 4 of them? All 4
yes,
for
4
$2,000.
tires. And if I did a burnout, every time somebody at a red light asked me to do a burnout, I'd be buying tires every 2 months. And it's a weird kind of a deal like this. And then you have to come around here, and you have to grab here in the middle, and then up like that.
That's Batman style.
Yeah.
I mean, I know a lot about engines because, like, that's the battery.
Well, the battery's actually back here behind the back wheel, but that's the
that's
your terminal for
terminal for
right,
the.
You had to jump it off.
You had to jump it off or something.
Right.
All right. So what you're looking at here is a 2005 Honda Element. No armrests, but you don't necessarily need those. Everyone doesn't need armrests.
I got the same motor in my lawnmower.
That's what I was gonna say. This actually came off of a moped, and I've had to stop being friends with people who live on hills because it's not happening.
That's our show for this week. Be sure to follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Check out the stories we're working on and tell us what you think. I'm Gigi Douban, and we'll see you next time on Alabama Ink.